It's now been over a year since Bray Wyatt's release was announced by the WWE. At the time, the wrestling world was in shock. How could somebody so prominently featured over the last 8 years be given their pink slip? Naturally, fantasy bookers went wild with their theories. Will Tony Khan make a play for Bray? Will Bray try to make a name for himself in Japan? Is this all a ruse to set up his imminent return to WWE under a new gimmick? It turns out that none of this happened. In fact, nothing happened. At the time of writing, Windham, as he is now known, has yet to make his next big move in wrestling. Though his recent run as The Fiend was mostly panned by the audience, his talent and mind for the business is obvious. And you know what they say, absence does make the heart grow fonder. Welcome to Crafty Kayfabe, where today we will fantasy book the Cult of Windham. On social media, it's clear that Windham is teasing something. From his Twitter account @Windham6, he has posted cryptic tweets such as, "Whenever I decide to return, I'll remind everyone why they know my name," and "Patience, it's almost time." What does it all mean though? At only 35 years old, Windham still has a lot to give the wrestling industry, but what he gives and where he gives it are both very much up for debate. Often the question has been, how will Windham survive on the indies without his WWE gimmick? But the question I pose today is, why should he have to survive without the persona that he built? Though the name Bray Wyatt is the intellectual property of WWE, the persona that Windham Rotunda has crafted over a decade is not. In his work as Bray Wyatt, Windham has shown that he is the perfect casting for a cult leader, so in this writer's opinion, he should stick at what he's good at because the indie scene does not want to see the second coming of Husky Harris. In this fantasy booking pitch, I will explore what Windham's options are outside of the WWE. Indulge me if you will as I take you through what could be one of the biggest storylines in wrestling, the Cult of Windham. P.S. Don't forget to like and subscribe to help this channel grow. Windham's first move outside of World Wrestling Entertainment should be on the biggest stage possible. Of course, that would mean All Elite Wrestling, the fast-growing #2 promotion in America. And in this booking, we will start a few weeks before All Out 2022. Now, at the time of writing and recording, the Women's Championship match for All Out is said to be a fatal four-way for the vacant title between Toni Storm, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter and Hikaru Shida. So these four women will go about their feud as normal, but eagle-eyed viewers will be rewarded during their segments. In every segment to hype the championship match at All Out, if you look hard enough, you will see an ominous figure in the background. And no, it's not Windham. It's somebody a little bit smaller. The figure will be watching Storm, Baker, Hayter and Shida intently, yet covertly. On the Dynamite before All Out, Hikaru Shida will be walking up the ramp after a tune-up victory, which is exactly where we will see the reveal of the aforementioned figure. As Shida celebrates her victory, cameras will pan to the squared circle where we see a figure emerge from beneath. Crawling out from behind the ring apron is none other than Abaddon, the living dead girl. Abaddon will stare at Hikaru Shida. Hikaru Shida will stare at Abaddon. That's all we need as we head into All Out. And as we reach All Out on September 4th, Hikaru Shida successfully wins the AEW Women's Championship against Britt Baker, but that will not be the main talking point of the show, because as soon as the referee counts to 3, it won't be Hikaru Shida's music hitting through the arena's PA system, no. It will be Broken Out in Love by Mark Crozer and the Reels, a piece of music synonymous with Bray Wyatt, but crucially, a piece of music which is not owned by WWE. On top of that, the Titantron doesn't read Bray Wyatt, it will read the Cult of Windham. As Hikaru Shida glares up to the top of the ramp, we see Windham appear. Of course the crowd will be going crazy, but Windham is not the only person making a post-match appearance. Windham is surrounded by at least 20 or 30 figures, all dressed from head to toe in red, wearing red masks. Members of the Cult of Windham. These cult members will surround the ring as Hikaru Shida is still inside, and then from under the ring emerges Abaddon. Abaddon enters the ring, and it doesn't take long for them to beat down an already exhausted Hikaru Shida. Once the job is done, Windham enters the ring and stands with Abaddon. With thousands of fans watching on, as well as the mysterious Cult of Windham members outside the ring, Windham raises Abaddon's hand, and we cut to the next segment. Not long after this, a tweet will appear on Windham's feed. We're here. And after this, Windham will go quiet. We will see nothing on his Twitter feed. He will not appear on the following Wednesday's Dynamite, yet his presence will still be felt. Throughout the 2 hours of Dynamite, in the crowd we will see glimpses of Cult of Windham members sitting in all red watching the show. Now and then the camera crew will cut to these members, which will serve to remind everybody that Windham's influence is still being followed. Windham has something else to focus on after all, for his next move will involve creaking open the Forbidden Door. At the time of recording, New Japan Strong's Autumn Attack events are due to take place in September. On September 11th, 6 days after All Out, we are once again going to hear the familiar bass line of Broken Out in Love. It will sound during an openweight championship match between Fred Rosser and challenger Filthy Tom Lawler. As the music sounds, Fred Rosser will turn to the entrance ramp confused. Cult of Windham members dressed head to toe in red will filter out, causing a perfect distraction for Tom Lawler to catch Fred Rosser in the guillotine, successfully choking him out for the victory. Filthy Tom will grab his newly won championship, and he'll be joined in the ring by Windham, who has now officially walked through the famed Forbidden Door. So as it stands, we still don't know a whole lot about the Cult of Windham. All we really know is the name of the cult and a few of its members. This is by design. No dramatic context will be needed right now, because with all of this happening, the wrestling world will be abuzz. Windham's next location will be on the mind of every wrestling fan, because if he can cross from AEW to New Japan, who's to say he can't show up elsewhere? It adds a new sense of intrigue to every promotion around America and perhaps beyond. There's going to be more eyes on every major show due to the anticipation of a Windham appearance. Meanwhile, during these appearances, Windham will be keeping everyone invested via his social media. He'll be doing exactly what he was doing to keep people invested during his absence from wrestling: cryptic tweets. These tweets will include pictures of various random wrestlers presented without context. It will include quotes from promos that Windham has cut in the past and hints about where the Cult of Windham will show up next. And of course, people won't be given a reason to look away from the promotions that Windham has shown up in previously either. On AEW Dynamite and New Japan Strong, we're going to see strong character development for Abaddon and Filthy Tom. Abaddon will slowly depart from the full-on zombie vibe they've got going for them and develop into a character who can verbally communicate, citing that the Cult of Windham helped them do this. They'll be pushed towards Hikaru Shida and the AEW Women's Championship. For Tom Lawler, he's going to hit out at others from the mixed martial arts community who had countless opportunities thrown at them. Tom will claim that he never got opportunities afforded to him until he joined the Cult of Windham. And whenever Abaddon and Lawler appear on their respective shows, both will be accompanied by dozens of fellow cult members dressed in red. It won't take long for Cult of Windham to recruit some more notable names either. The Forbidden Door is soon going to become Windham's Forbidden Playground, because he will be appearing in other promotions imminently. For example, he's going to appear in Ring of Honor as soon as September 25th at Final Battle, traditionally held in December, but AEW have been moving Ring of Honor pay-per-views forward slightly, so this is my best guess. Anyway, on the show, he will recruit rising star Josh Woods to the Cult of Windham, ensuring that the cult now has a tie to Ring of Honor. On the 8th of October, Windham will show up at Impact Wrestling's Bound for Glory event to recruit the ferocious luchador Black Taurus to the cult. This would be a double win for Windham's cult because Black Taurus is also contracted to AAA. With that now in mind, the Cult of Windham has representation in AEW, New Japan, Ring of Honor, Impact and AAA. Clearly, something needs to be done. This has no signs of stopping and Windham cannot continue to do this, so Tony Khan, AEW founder, will take a stand. He will write an open letter to Takami Obari, Scott D'Amore and Maricela Pena, the respective owners of the companies infested by the Cult of Windham. This letter will be posted in full on social media for all to see. Its message will be clear. Windham must be stopped. And this is where matters will be kicked into a higher gear. Windham will take exception to this. He will take numerous exceptions to this. It will lead to an announcement from Windham that he will address all hate and criticism on Dynamite. Tony Khan is going to grant this time and hope that the Cult of Windham can clearly state their intentions and maybe some kind of understanding can be reached. But as Dynamite kicks off, it will be clear that something is very, very wrong. Jim Ross welcomes viewers with a depressing rendition of his "It's Wednesday night and you know what that means" line. But there are no screaming fans. The arena is empty. You could hear a pin drop. That is because instead of fans, we see members of the Cult of Windham. Cult of Windham members fill every seat in the building. They are dressed in their cult uniforms, red all over. In the middle of the ring stands Windham. Standing outside the ring facing Hardcam are Abaddon, Tom Lawler, Josh Woods and Black Taurus. In a practical sense, of course, this will be a pre-taped segment having been recorded earlier in the day before fans entered the building. With Dynamite officially underway, Windham will grab a microphone and he will speak. In an address to his cult in attendance as well as everybody in the wrestling world, Windham explains why they have been infesting wrestling promotions recently. Windham tells us that it all started with the now famous phrase, "Forbidden Door." He laughs and questions why this phrase became so popular. Who was forbidding this door after all? Rich pigs who never saw benefits of working alongside their fellow man? It's ludicrous. There should be no celebrations in the name of selfishness and stupidity from the kingpins of the wrestling world. He continues, stating that the Cult of Windham have shown exactly what happens when people work together. They disrupt, and while lessers complain about their disruption, the cult grows. As it stands now, with over 500 members, the Cult of Windham aren't forbidden from anything. At least as far as Windham sees it. But now Tony Khan and all the other fat pigs in wrestling are trying to forbid the Cult of Windham. Why does the Forbidden Door forbid us and not anyone else? Windham's gonna ask. Fear would be the easiest and most obvious answer, but I don't think it's fear alone. This sense of fear is mixed with the necessity to be in charge. It's mixed with control. Control is the answer. Tony Khan doesn't want free movement through the Forbidden Door, he wants to control it. And Windham's gonna gesture towards his cult, those at ringside and those in the crowd. He wants to control you. But he won't get the chance to. The situation is this: Khan says we can't walk through the Forbidden Door, but yet my curiosity gets the better of me and I wonder, who exactly is going to stop us? Tony Khan, we do not subscribe to your forbidden door because the cult of Windham are the forbidden fruits. Try to force us away from our tree and you will suffer the consequences. At this stage, I see Windham being interrupted by somebody closely affiliated with AEW. Perhaps a returning babyface Kenny Omega. Maybe CM Punk has a few things to say about Windham's opinions. Has Windham perhaps ruffled a few feathers with Jon Moxley and the Blackpool Combat Club? There are several ways you can take the story from here, but the main point is that this storyline will benefit more than just AEW. It benefits every promotion that the cult of Windham step into. And why does this work for these promotions? Well, first off, they get a star like Windham on their show. Windham is possibly the only big-name free agent left in wrestling at this stage in 2022. Wherever he goes, eyeballs will follow. And now that Windham has declared the main members of his cult, people will be watching Impact to see what Black Taurus does. They'll be watching New Japan Strong to see what happens with Filthy Tom and his new involvement in this cult. There will be all kinds of buzz around this change to the wrestling dynamic. And the best thing is, you don't even need to make this a weekly thing. It can be spontaneous, out of nowhere. So if you like long-term storytelling, this could be a year-long story told easily through a variety of different promotions. Sure, it would take a lot of work and a lot of community between the 4 promotions involved, but these promotions have all worked together cordially in the past. And as for where it ends, what better place than Forbidden Door 2023? The cult of Windham started because of the Forbidden Door. They have waged a forbidden war, and now it's time to end it. We could have Windham fighting for the AEW World Championship, Abaddon competing for the AEW Women's Championship. Perhaps Lawler, Woods and Taurus would get shots at their own organisation's world titles, or perhaps we get a big multi-man promotion elimination tag match to truly end things. Again, several possibilities, all of which will be more than intriguing enough to sell the pay-per-view. So there you have it. If Windham was to never return to WWE, this is what I would propose as his best move outside of sports entertainment. The cult of Windham could breathe life and bring in a whole bunch of new eyes into several of the world's wrestling promotions, and who better to do it than the man who is wrestling's biggest free agent. Wherever Windham ends up, he'll undoubtedly have to work hard to shed the negativity from his infamous Fiend run. For an individual as creative as he is though, that shouldn't be a problem. When Windham steps back into the limelight again, the world will be watching. This has been a Crafty Kayfabe fantasy booking. Thank you for listening, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.